How is it going, everybody? Joe Snow here again today, and I wanted to do a deck tech video on the newest deck that I've been playing on the ladder since the patch hit. As you guys can see, I've maintained #1 North America with this deck, and we're having a little bit of server trouble right now. I'm currently sitting top 22 worldwide at over 3,900. Excuse me, 100 MMR. This deck's been very, very successful for me. And we're calling the deck right now the Bloodiest Baron. So, what is the point of the deck? The point of the deck is to get the absolute largest Bloody Baron that you can, largely by murdering your opponent's men. I've gotten it up to 33 strength for the third round. The key part about this card is that you're going to draw it every single time in round 2 and also in round 3. So you always have access to your finisher card without needing to thin your deck, any of that. Basically, kill their stuff, get out of round 1 and 2, make it to round 3, drop a huge Bloody Baron, and profit. This deck absolutely, as you can see, is destroying monsters right now. It's by far the most common deck on the ladder, and I'm 14-3 against it. Yeah, the deck just absolutely annihilates monsters. They really, really don't have a chance. You have to get very, very unlucky to lose. The Skellige matchup seems about 50-50 over a reasonable number of games. You cannot win against Spellitel, the Spell Squaretel deck. You just can't win. It's an auto loss. Just concede, save yourself some time, go do something else. And the other matchups, Nilfgaard seems a little poor. The games are very close, but I did only play 2. It's probably slightly unfavored. So let's get into a couple of the other cards in the deck, exactly what's going on. So obviously our big plan is to use the Bloody Baron. How are we going to do that? What's the core of the deck? Artuza Adept. This is the most important card in the deck. We're going to find Rain. Rain is good against monster eggs. It's good against Imperial Golems. It's just good against so much right now. It's good against Foglets, etc., etc., etc. And you want to kill a large number of small units to help your Bloody Baron, which is why we're choosing Rain here. I believe it's very easily the best weather effect for the job. I wouldn't change what we have going on here. The rest of the bronze units, we've got 3 of these guys. Clear Weather, Kill Foglets is great. Many of the Skellige decks are running weather right now. Monsters decks are all running some amount of weather, except for Consume for the most part, but Consume is basically a buy. It really doesn't matter what you do in that matchup. Your dog could sort of play it for you. You're going to win the game. And these guys have been quite good for me. Now, as far as the Northern Realm bronzes, it kind of ends there. We're still looking for a last slot. We have the Reaver Hunters here, and the Reaver Hunters, usually they're in Reaver Hunter decks. This is not a Reaver Hunter deck. It's entirely possible that you actually just want, instead of Reaver Hunters, something like, what's this guy's name over here? The big dude, the 8 strength with 3 armor. As vanilla and boring as the Treatum Infantryman is, he might actually just be better than the Reaver Hunter. A lot of times you're not able to combo them together. They're easy to remove the first one, particularly out of Skellige, that kind of thing. Sometimes you can scare an opponent out of the round. This is not a Reaver Hunter deck. They're probably the worst card in the deck. They're just there because I don't like the way any of the other Northern Realms bronzes synergize with this deck. These guys are pretty much for more of the same. Once in a while, they'll turn on your Reaver Hunters. But what they're really there for is to have more consistent access to multiple Artuza Adepts in round 1, as this is sort of the backbone of the deck and the strategy. The one of Alzur's Thunder has been fine. I've been seeing a resurgence of Akvis. The card's pretty good there. It's not bad. You could change it for something else. This is only day 1. The deck isn't absolutely perfect yet, but it has been performing rather well. So, on to the silver package. We've got Thaler. I think this deck just really wants a spy. It's very good. It answers other spies. It plays nicely with the Scorch when you don't have a good target. Also, you can get really far ahead of your opponent sometimes with all of the weather effects. Play the Thaler and just continue on with the round. Just up a card. It works very, very good in the deck. Probably wouldn't play the deck without it. Scorch is fine. There are spots when it saves you like no other card would. This is insurance against Big Ekimaras, things like that. It's a way to finish off a locked Morkvarg after you lock it up. That type of deal. This card might stay in the deck, might see some change in the future. For now, it's pretty good. Reinforcements is invaluable. This card's great. It lets me find my Death Mold, my Margarita, my Okfist. It lets me find whatever I want at the time. It also doubles as another Artuza Adept, doubles as another Reaver Hunter. This card's great, and I would not play the deck without it. It just adds an entire layer of flexibility that you wouldn't have without it, and this deck sort of needs that. So I'm a big fan of Reinforcement. Death Mold, I don't think a ton needs to be said about this guy. As with most of the mages, they're as close as you really get to auto-includes these days. Card's amazing, does everything, it even spawns the correct weather effect that you really want. I would just play this card. Not too much else to say about it there. Okfist has been pretty good for me. The Skeleton decks can remove it, the monster decks really can't. So this is a card that's going to require a bit more testing, but the Okfist is super sweet. It's another way to get card advantage. It's an easy lead on a board when you lose the coin toss going first in round 1. You can sort of just lead an Okfist and go on from there, which is not something you'd say about a lot of the other cards in the deck. So I've been happy with the Okfist, but it is something to keep an eye on in the future as the deck and the meta continue to develop. Then we've got Margarita over here. Margarita's been pretty good. I do like having one additional lock effect, because being Radovid here, your opponent knows that you have access to this. And once you blow your Radovid effect, then they're far more likely to not play around lock effects with things like using a decoy early on a Morkvarg, that kind of thing. Also, it's just nice to have a certain saturation of that type of effect, as a lot of decks are only really playing 1 to 2 ways to really unlock a unit. And after the Radovid comes down, having access to Marguerite's great. This is also decent against Impera Brigades. It's decent against whatever Joachim hits in the Nilfgaard matchup. There's some other uses. It's very good against Katakan. So there's some other things you can do with it. But mostly it's just in there for the lock piece. This is another card that I've liked so far, but I'm going to continue watching in the future. So besides the Bloody Baron, who is the namesake of the deck, and where the deck really draws its power from, what do the rest of the golds look like? Philip Eilhart. This card has been absolutely killing it. It's devastating. A lot of times you get full or close to full value, which is 16 points, but it's actually more than that because you're murdering a lot of things, which is going to grow your Baron, which is just amazing. I wouldn't play the deck without her. She's crucial to this deck. She's very, very powerful. She's probably the card that's impressed me the most besides the Bloody Baron. I didn't have super high expectations for her, and she has just surpassed them in every way. I think Philippa is amazing in this deck. Roach, likewise, has also been very, very good for me in this deck. It's nice that if you max value him, he kills 2 units, which is buffing your Baron by 2. He also provides an 18-point tempo swing, because he summons his own 6 strength, 6 more strength, and deals 6 damage, which is quite a bit. You can almost always at least get him to proc spawning the guy once, and then play another dude after that. He lines up great against Harpies. Harpies carry over 2 3-points into 2 3-point units into the next round, which Roach just naturally eats right up. So he's a great counter to 2 eggs that happen to go unpopped, maybe after you passed or something, because unpopped eggs aren't exactly that common when you're running 4 ways to access different rain effects, but it does happen from time to time, and Roach has just been powerful as a round 1 tempo play, and powerful as clearing up Harpies and stuff later. Card's just been very, very good for me. The last gold we have here is Kira Metz, who was the latest addition to the deck. We used to have Triss in here earlier on in the day. I'm messing around with Kira. She seems a lot better in round 1, as Triss really didn't find a lot of 5-strength targets that were worth killing. You often stack your back row to a pretty reasonable extent, and I've been finding her using Thunderbolt Potion more than anything. Notably, if your opponent leads on like a Savage Bear out of Skellige, something like that, you can just Kira into Epidemic, and it's pretty decent value there. It may only look like 11 points, but in fact, that bear was going to do a lot more damage to you. So I have been liking Kira. She's definitely the gold that's the least necessary for the deck, and I may wind up changing out, trying out a few different things in the future. But as for now, she's earning her spot in here. She's been pretty versatile, pretty good. You never use the Quen sign. It's pretty much Epidemic or Thunderbolt Potion. Once again, this is a Bloody Baron deck, not a Reaver Hunter deck. You really don't need to focus on these guys at all. The Aretuza Adepts are by far much, much more important to the backbone and what this deck is trying to do. So I implore you guys, if you have the spare scraps, I know everyone has a lot, go ahead, give it a shot. Like I was saying, it absolutely destroys Monster, and this is all 3,500 and up MMR. In fact, most of the games are 3,800 and up MMR, as I started the day at like 3,570 or something, because I tanked the day before, and I moved very, very quickly through those ranks into, you know, the very top of the ladder. But I've been having a lot of success with this deck. If you enjoyed the content, please hit the subscribe button. Costs you nothing. Helps me out. Really appreciate it, guys. I hope you guys like the deck. Take care. Have a good one. And good luck on the ladder with it.